Hello, friends. I'm sorry that I look like a horrible mess. I'm getting ready to go to the gym to do my workout today. But I saw something in the newspaper and it made me decide to stop before going to the gym to share the information with you. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Becky of Dr. Becky's Better Brain Tips. And what has me discouraged is some information that, if you look at it quickly, might look like good news, but if you dive a little bit deeper, it's really not good news. And I want to back up just a teeny bit. I have done a video already on this, but this NIH, so our National Institutes of Health, published a report back a couple of months ago where they updated the risk factors for people getting Alzheimer's or dementia. And the new updated numbers are showing that once you are a woman and you hit 55 or older, you have a 48% chance of getting Alzheimer's, which is beyond horrific. The numbers prior to 2020 said that women had somewhere between a 20 to 30%. And then the numbers were also dreadful for men. It was initially 9 to 11% for men, or 9 to 13% of men would get Alzheimer's, and now that is up to 35% chance for men to get Alzheimer's disease. So again, the numbers are skyrocketing, which is horrific. But what made me sad was, again, what was in the newspaper today. And again, you can say it says Tuesday, May the 20th, 2025. And so what this article is saying is, guess what? There's a new blood test now that can tell you whether or not you have a risk of getting Alzheimer's disease. And in the past, there had to be more invasive testing. So the fact that you can now do this with a blood test, they're saying, yay, the FDA has cleared a blood test so that it'll be easy for anybody to get this blood test to determine whether or not they're at risk of having Alzheimer's disease. But here's the part that's, to me, so sad, and I'm just going to read it directly from here. It says, the lower cost of a blood test and the convenience will also expand the use of two new drugs, Leqembi and Kisunla, I'm sorry, I said that wrong, which have shown to slightly slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease. So we've got two drugs. So they're saying, hey, we're going to do this blood test because this blood test is going to expand the use of a drug. Not that the use of this drug is going to be powerful and mighty and beneficial. No, they don't say that. What they say is, will slightly slow the progression. But what the article does not go on to say is, not only does it just slightly slow the progression, it also increases the risk of brain bleed. Okay, well that's and not just a little bit. It was 24% of the people in the clinical trials suffered with a brain bleed. So that's a pretty, 24% of people can get a brain bleed for a slightly slower progression. It's not saying we're going to stop the disease. It's not saying we're going to reverse the disease. It's just saying we're going to slightly slower it. And for what? For the risk of a brain bleed? And please don't take my word for it that I say that there's an increased risk of brain bleed. In the description, I'm going to have a link for a couple of really well-known neurologists. Dr. Dale Bredesen is one of those neurologists. Dr. Dale Permutter is another one of those neurologists who have also looked at the studies, who have also seen the risk of brain bleed in using Leqembi in particular. And what's interesting is that some people are going to say, oh, well, the only people that are going to get a brain bleed if they use Leqembi are the people that have the genetic mutation, which is the ApoE4 mutation. And some people say, and by the way, the doctors are going to test first to see if you actually have that mutation. And that on paper would be great if that's really true, that you would be tested first to see, do you have that genetic mutation that increases your risk for the brain bleed? But the sad truth is, as far as all the research that I could find in right now, it's only the state of Minnesota that requires all physicians test for the ApoE4 genetic mutation before prescribing Leqembi. But all the other states, it's not required. It is suggested, but then it goes on in the research to say, however, some insurance companies will not cover that genetic test to see if you have that ApoE4 genetic mutation. So if the insurance company won't cover the test, then the doctors can just prescribe you Leqembi, and in essence, we're playing Russian roulette. And that, again, it makes me sad for many, many reasons. Number one, these two drugs aren't going to do anything long term that's going to be beneficial for you or your loved one diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Number two, none of these things that are talked about mention what can happen if you implement lifestyle strategies. What happens if you actually eat food that supports brain health? What happens if you actually do exercises that builds brand new brain cells? What happens if you help to detox and get toxins out of the body, activating the lymphatic system to get debris out of the brain so that the brain can function better? None of that's ever mentioned. It's just do the blood test, see if you have an increased risk so we can give you a drug. And I just want you all to know that there are answers that have zero side effect, but have huge, grateful impacts on improving brain health. Clinically shown, clinically proven. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. Many, many, many clinical trials have taken place with people who have followed just lifestyle changes and have had their Alzheimer's either stop the progression in its tracks, and for many people, even reversed it. So maybe take the blood test to see if you're at an elevated risk, but don't take the blood test because you now want to be put on a drug when the drugs don't even offer you any good benefits. So again, please go check out the resources section. I'm going to have links with other neurologists that are saying the same things that me, this little old retired functional medicine practitioner, is sharing with the world, because this information is important. And again, if you're a woman 55 and over, your risk now is a 48% chance of getting Alzheimer's disease. But you don't have to be a statistic. You can do something to make positive changes starting right now that have no side effects, and it's simple things that you can do from the comfort of your home. Please share this information with loved ones that you know might already be suffering with some sort of cognitive decline, or if you have a family history of Alzheimer's or dementia, please do the simple things. I'll also have a link to my website. There's so many free resources on the website. A free guide to determine, are you deficient in some key nutrients that could increase your risk? You'll find out if by looking at this guide. We have a free Better Brain meal plan so that you know what are the foods you should eat more of to build a better brain. But please know, resources are available. There are things you can do starting now that will improve the health of your brain. Thank you for tuning in. Share this information, and I'll be back next time. Bye now.